All righty, we'll go ahead and get started.
All right.
Corey, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, and it's excited to see more people joining us here today, Jake.
Absolutely. And welcome to all of you that have tuned in to our Falcon Wealth Advisors signature planning webinar. It's a gorgeous day in Kansas City. So I don't know if people are in from around the country, but fall is a pretty cool season in the Midwest. I've got to admit, Corey. Corey, you have any favorite fall activities before we jump in?
Yeah, I play a game, platform tennis, that gets started in the fall and is a winter game. So this is always an exciting time of year for that reason.
Yeah, and believe it or not, I'm a golfer, so it's an exciting time for me because even though the weather is a little bit cooler, this is when I get to wind down the season and take some much needed time off because I typically play a lot of golf in the summer. So with that, again, thank you for everyone for joining. Corey, before we dive into today's presentation, why don't you take everyone through how is best to go about asking a question?
Perfect. So there is a button. If you are looking at your Zoom app or the platform, down at the bottom, there's a button that says raise hand. And if you click that button, just like I did, the hand will pop up in the top corner. And from that point, we will just press a button and ask you to unmute so you can speak. So if you have a question, if you want to chime in, raise the hand, we'll unmute and we'll be off and running.
Yeah, pretty simple process. We do like to have these webinars be interactive. So
Yes.
Certainly, anytime if you've got a question, feel free to hit that hand button. We'll unmute your mic and you will be live on our Falcon Wealth Advisors show to feel free to ask a question or make a comment. Also, if you email Luke at falconwealthadvisors.com, Luke is happy to take your question via email, and he can certainly raise his hand and we'll give him the mic to go ahead and ask away. Very good. Thank you, Corey. Before we get deeper into our signature planning process, I did want to briefly introduce Falcon Wealth Advisors, our team, which is also known as an ensemble practice. But Corey, before I go into each one of our team members and the roles that they play, I wanted to talk a little bit about what's changed in the wealth management arena. When I started in this business 17 years ago, Corey, believe it or not, I worked out of my basement. I had no assistant, no planners, no traders, and basically I was a one-man show. Now, I did have a back office that provided wonderful support, but I had nobody else working with me locally to support my clients. Fast forward 17 years later, and now we've got a team of almost 20 professionals all engaging and interacting with our clients. So wow, how times have changed. Corey, do you want to share a little bit of your experience and how the business has changed since you started?
Yes, we started working together in 2010. I went through all my licenses to become an advisor in 2011. And while on one hand, that doesn't seem that long ago, on the other hand, it seems like a long time ago because there were so many things that were different. And I think, Jake, the same way that you pointed out the beginning of your career 17 years ago, the same way when mine started was that that wasn't out of the norm. That is the way that a lot of firms operated, the way that a lot of advisors operated. And it was aligned with what clients were used to and what they've expected. But with the ensemble now, that looks much different, but the industry has evolved.
Right, exactly. Times have changed. And we feel at Falcon Wealth Advisors that for our clients' financial plans, there is far too much nuance and complexity for any one person to be able to properly advise that client on their own. And so what Corey, you and I have done, working together over a decade now, is that we have built out a team around us to help support and serve our clients so that our clients know that they're getting multiple sets of eyes and ears overlooking their investments and their plans and listening to what's important to them. So the way we've broken up our company is that I've got a wealth management group that consists of myself, Matthew, Jake, and Jordan, and we collectively serve and advise and meet with all of my clients. Very similar for you, Corey. You've got Joe and Tyler that work with you, meet with your clients, and help you deliver advice. And then the entire team supports all of our clients the same. And so, yes, you and I have siloed out our clients that we work with a little bit, even though I know you'd meet with my clients and I would meet with your clients if need be. The rest of our team really supports our clients all the same. So we've got 4 people in our investment management group, and they are overseeing the investments, they're rebalancing, buying and selling, research. Our client operations are consistent of our account managers. So if a client needs a distribution, has an administrative question, That's what our account managers are here to handle. And then Luke and Colby are our communications directors, and they are responsible for hosting wonderful webinars like this. We also produce a weekly podcast called Upticks. And so they make sure that that gets emailed out to all of our subscribers. And they do a really good job of making sure that our team stays organized. So I think it's a perk of a client of Falcon Wealth Advisors, knowing that, yes, many firms will claim that they're very large and robust. What we think is different at Falcon Wealth Advisors is our team is all in the office, working together, all serving the same set of clients, which again is a little bit unique compared to the way some other firms do it out there.
That's exactly right, Jake. And real quick, just instead of, trying to guard or protect the resources that we have as an ensemble practice, it means we're going to share those, share advice, share resources, share intellectual capital with each other, because that's the way that we can provide the best advice for our clients.
Right. So speaking a little bit more about Falcon Wealth Advisors, we do have clients in 30 states. Most of them are in Kansas City. Today, we manage over $650 million, and approximately half of our clients are retired and half of our clients are still working. Now, we are a well-credentialed team, so we've got certified financial planners. Corey, you and I are retirement planning counselors. We've got a CPA on staff, a CFA. So we've got many of those boxes checked. And it's pretty humbling, but we have been ranked in Forbes, both of us, as represented as top advisors in the country. So certainly that we don't do that without our clients, and certainly our team supporting around us. So that's been really neat and really fun to grow out our clientele. And as we continue to add new clients to Falcon Wealth Advisors, we're going to continue to hire people to serve those clients. And it's really that simple for us. All right, good, Corey. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about our signature planning process in here.
Right.
Now, I want to focus on why planning is so important. And I know today you're going to focus on how we actually accomplish that for our clients. But one of our large overarching purposes at Falcon Wealth Advisors is that we aim to enhance our clients' financial literacy and help them understand exactly what their financial plan means to them. So we really want to turn that spotlight off of ourselves and move that right onto the client and gain a firm understanding, which I'm going to go over today with you, Corey, of what our clients' intentions are for their money and how we can help best guide them to see those intentions being carried out. And really, to us, that's what's most important. And we ultimately, again, want to focus on the financial plan as it relates from the client's perspective, and then give them some really good advice along the way. Corey, you want to add anything to that?
I'm looking forward to getting into each of the steps specifically and highlighting both the why and the how, because it really what we are talking about here today, Jake, is what has brought people to the webinar. So I'm looking forward to getting into it.
Right. Now, one other point I wanted to make, though, is why is a financial plan important? And I want to rattle off a few things that why having a plan can truly change your life. And you hear it's horrible right now, Corey, what's going on with Israel. We still got Russia and Ukraine. You've got unknowns in China. We've got a political election coming up. So there's all this uncertainty. We just went through a pandemic. And having a financial plan can really help alleviate some of those concerns and those fears when you have literally a document or a website that you can turn to that has all of your assets all consolidated in one place. It has a 30-year plus projection of what your direction your money is taking. It can really diminish some of that harsh reality that we have to face every day as humans of all of the disruption and uncertainty in the world. So I think, number one, having a plan helps calm some of those, again, variables that always seem to present themselves in day-to-day life. So I think that would be my number one. Corey, what's the number two reason to have a financial plan?
The number two reason is so you don't have to constantly question whether or not you are doing the right things or making the right choices. The plan in place just guides and points to the choices to make, and life happens and things change. We're human, right? We live dynamic lives. Our circumstances change. But the point there is it helps to eliminate some of those thoughts that may bounce around. What do I do because of what's happening in the Middle East? Or what do I do because of Russia invading Ukraine? If you have that plan in place and have that strategy in place, you can focus your time and energy on the things that you're best at, and you don't have to worry about how you should disrupt everything as far as your financial life goes.
That's really good, Corey. I'm glad that you said that, because time and time again, a client will ask me, Jake, am I spending too much money? Or am I going to run out of money? Or when should I turn on Social Security? And these are all things that we love to answer for our clients. And we answer these questions by going back to the financial plan. So that's really good, Corey. I'm glad that you brought that up. And I think the last point that I wanted to make of why having a plan is important is that ultimately it will serve as a piece of reference to when you have to make a major decision. You've got some sort of framework or, bedrock to say, okay, well, what's in our plan? But I want to make a point here that your plan is not set in stone like a rock. It's not locked in. You mentioned that life changes, but it's a good reference point saying, okay, this is what we had planned. Circumstances have changed. How do we pivot so that our plan still works the way we want to see it work, but that we're still willing to overcome whatever obstacle or challenge that we're now faced? So again, I like using it as a reference point so that you know that your life is going to change, that you've got a document to go back to, say, okay, well, this is what we originally had planned. How do we rework things so that now we can adjust and move forward from here? So it's really good. It helps you answer a lot of questions, helps put to bed some of that uncertainty, and can serve as a reference point when things do get a little erratic. All right, good. Excellent, Corey. So let's dive right back into it. So step one with Falcon Wealth Advisors, and that's an introductory meeting. And this truly is a why meeting. Now, typically we'll spend literally only about 5 minutes talking about ourselves, and the next 25 minutes is all focused on the client. So we want to learn things like, where did you grow up? How long have you been married? Tell us about your kids. And of course, we're going to pull together all of your financial statements, insurance, mortgage, investments, IRAs, Roth IRAs, all of that stuff. But ultimately, Corey, what I love to get to in this first meeting is our client's purpose. And I will ask them questions such as, why is money important to you? Or what's your favorite thing to spend money on? Or what are you looking for in a financial advisor? And I think for many of our clients, this is the first time in their lives, Corey, that they've been asked such questions. And I love hearing a variety of responses, because ultimately that's going to establish how we build the financial plan for our clients, because we want it to be about our client's purpose and not our agenda or not our purpose. Why don't you go into a little bit of the how have we accomplished all this in this first step here?
Yes, we will. So when we have this first meeting, it's either in person in our office at the 1900 building. We'll meet with some clients on Zoom or via conference call, usually around 30 minutes, as you mentioned, Jake. And before that meeting, what we'll do is we will send through a document when someone schedules an appointment so they can compile some of the financial data and submit all of that ultimately before we get together. So we don't need to spend that time and energy talking through everything there. Everything's prepared and ready to go. So we can really focus on what you highlighted, Jake, which is what matters. So we'll sit down, we'll spend that time together, we'll talk through those questions, we'll begin to sort of uncover what some of the big picture goals are. And from there is when we will move along to the next step in the process. Yeah,
that's really good. And again, probably these initial meetings are probably some of my favorite meetings, because I'm getting a chance to meet somebody new. I'm getting to hear about a different perspective and a different purpose. And I feel like, believe it or not, Corey, many times in this first meeting, I do have clients tell me, hey, I already learned more than I've met at working with my current advisor, or you've already made me feel comfortable. So again, it's establishing a relationship instead of getting a chance to learn about somebody new, and hopefully finding opportunities for us to do business together and to help them. So that's good. So
Great.
Going into step two, and this is, again, I can't brag about our team enough. Corey, back in the day, you and I used to build these plans ourselves, right? So we would take all those financial statements, we would input all the data, analyze the data, and go over it. But again, this is so important. The why behind this is that I don't care who the person is. They can be the sharpest tack in the box. In the end, everybody always says this, I'm human, I make mistakes. And by taking a team collaborative approach, we are able to smooth out many of those human error mistakes, because literally we're going to have multiple sets of eyes. Typically there's 2 or 3 people in that meeting anyways, taking down notes. So we take a true team effort. And this is important, because the last thing you want to do if you're working with a financial advisor is to basically put all of your eggs in one basket and rely on every piece of advice, every investment, every decision on literally one person handling that for you. And we just don't think that's a very effective way. We think it's a very risky way to do it. And so that's why we go back and we use a team approach. Corey, how do we go about doing this?
After that first meeting where we collect that data and that information, our financial planning group that you've highlighted today will really take all of those inputs and start to build out the financial plan in the software that we use. We will build out that plan to project really what, the next 30, 40, 50 years look like for someone. Included in that plan will be the specific goals that we've outlined and worked through with them. But what I love about this step in the process too, though, is with our financial planning group and team here in the office, I've seen it happen countless times where people are collaborating and talking about, well, has this been considered, or has that been considered, or is this the right way to get to where this particular client's trying to go, or prospective client's trying to go? So the planning group working together to really build out those plans that we highlight when we meet following this step, I think that's really important because it's not just one person. Like Jake, if I met with you as my advisor and you asked me all of these questions, I gave you all of my financial information, and then I knew that you were going to go and sit down at your computer and kind of build out your plan and give me your recommendations. I'd feel great if you told me, Corey, I have certified financial planners and CPAs and people in my office that we collaborate with when we build this plan out versus here's what I think.
Right. And let me use a metaphor here. So Corey, let's say that you had, you broke your arm, right? But let's say it wasn't a normal break, that it broke in two places and it wasn't your standard, broken arm. Would you rather go to a hospital, have one doctor look at it and give his or her opinion, and then they are going to set the cast, they're going to do the x-ray, and they do everything, this one person? Or would you rather go to a hospital and you meet the doctor, which is great, but the doctor says, hey, I've got a technician that's going to go take x-rays, someone, if you need some pain medication, they can prescribe you the medicine. And then I'm going to go back to a group of doctors and we're going to look at your case and make sure that we know how to set it right. Then I'm going to have a nurse come in here and assist me all along the way. So doesn't that sound like a much better way to get treatment versus one doctor doing everything? And I think what's crazy to me is that many people still work with these advisors that are doing it all on their own. And again, I think that's very risky when you're talking about your life savings here. And it just having that team collaborate behind the scenes, in my opinion, is almost invaluable to our clients. And so you can't put a price on that. And it's been a lot of fun seeing what our team comes up with to help our clients.
And to answer what was maybe your hypothetical or rhetorical question, Jay, give me the team, give me the doctor team 10 times out of 10 if I break my arm.
Good answer. Good answer. Okay, good. So after our team crunches the numbers, this is a second meeting that we'll have with our clients. And this is so important. And very rarely does somebody come to a first meeting and not to have the second meeting, because at the second meeting, this is when we're going over your future 30 years. Now, again, we can't predict the future, but we will project it out. And most importantly, we will give observations and strategy to improve on your situation. So does this mean you need to switch to a Roth IRA? Does this mean you need to turn on Social Security? Does this mean you need to work 3 more years? It can be an infinite amount of observations, frankly, that we can provide to our clients. And all we're looking to do is to enhance their financial plan and ultimately get them to where that purpose that they articulated in that first meeting aligns with. Now, another important piece here is that when we are going over these observations and these next steps, we are acting in a fiduciary capacity. And all that simply means, Corey, is that all of our advice and recommendations have a legal obligation to be in our client's best interest. We don't have a hidden agenda here. We're just taking a look at everything, listening to our clients and what they value and what's important to them. And then we're giving you observations to hopefully optimize your strategy and enhance the direction that you're headed. How do we go about doing that, Corey?
This meeting, the strategy discussion, typically in our office, Zoom, conference call, whatever works best, in person or Zoom typically, because a lot of the details that we're going to go through, and it'll be myself or you, Jake, and a financial planner typically in those meetings. And we're going to review the data that we collected in that first meeting. We're going to revisit the goals that we've outlined and highlighted. We're going to show you where things stand right now based on what you are doing right now, where that puts you 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And if where it looks like you're headed and where you want to be are two different places, that's where our recommendations come in. That's where Falcon Wealth Advisors enters the picture to say, here's what we would recommend to get you where you want to go. The Roth versus pre-tax piece, Jake, like you mentioned, There's so many other considerations involved there, but the point is, that's really where we'll talk about, here's what needs to be done in order for you to get where you want to be. And here is our recommendations and how we'll go about doing it. And this is also when we'll talk more specifically about the investment portfolio that we will recommend that is intended to implement your financial plan.
Right. So we'll have a lot. This is a very impactful meeting. It's a very important meeting. Again, we'll go over that financial plan. We'll have the investments, and then we'll talk about next steps and what it looks like to actually become a client of Falcon Wealth Advisors. And if our client is ready to move forward, then we move on to step 4, and that's implementation. And that's an exciting part for our clients, because now they have decided to hire us to help them along in this process. Now, what's very important for everyone tuning in to understand, though, is that also by choosing to hire Falcon Wealth Advisors, you are joining, again, our group of our clientele, where we're going to open up our doors and you're going to have access to every single person on our team. You're also not locked into a permanent relationship. We work very hard every day to continue to earn our clients' trust and earn their business. And we understand that any day our clients reserve the right to fire us and cancel the agreement. So it's completely at will. But this next step will typically bring in Abby Musson or Mark, and they will start the process of opening accounts with our custodian. We typically use Charles Schwab for our custodian, and they'll gather documents and get everything set up exactly the way that you prefer it. They're also going to make sure that if you've got a trust, that we have that on file, listing out all of your beneficiaries, getting you set for online access. It's really just an onboarding process that we have really taken the time to formalize and make a very consistent, organized process that our clients, when they're going through it, they know that Abby or Mark are going to be by their side every step of the way, making sure that everything is getting set up. And again, this is important because you don't want to forget to roll over something or mess up a form and check the wrong box. So again, we've got trained professionals that literally do this every day to make sure this process goes as smoothly as possible.
Yeah, that covered a lot of the how, Jake. I think what I would just add to that, though, is you talked earlier about bragging on our team. That's the beauty of us having onboarding specialists that work with us. They do a great job, and this is what they do all the time, which is help onboard new clients. So they'll schedule the phone call. They will collect the relevant information that's needed to prepare the paperwork to open the accounts. They'll work with clients each step of the way to make sure that things get consolidated and transferred and rolled over the way that they're supposed to, ensure the online access is in place there. But I think the main point here is that how we do this for our clients is that we do not say, here's 20 things you need to go and do. Good luck. Let us know when it's done. The way that we do it, how we do this is being there with our clients each step of the way, because for most people, they are going to retire once. And we've worked with hundreds of people that have retired. And like you mentioned, Jake, it can be very costly if you check the wrong box on a rollover form or a tax withholding, whatever it may be. So having the experience, having the specialists that do it every day, and then walking through that process step by step with our clients ultimately leads to a very positive onboarding experience. And that's what we aim for.
Yeah, that's really good. That's a really good point, Corey. And so once that happens, though, many advisor, it's like, see you later, and they never call their client again, which is horrible. It's funny, we laugh, but it is horrible, because
it's not good.
How many times have you met with a new client and they're like, I never hear from my advisor ever, or I call them and they don't call me back? And it's absurd and it's ridiculous, and nobody deserves that. I don't care how much money you have, frankly.
Yes.
Nobody deserves that type of treatment. And so our 5th step, in my opinion, is probably the most important step, other than that 1st step, because that's when we're establishing everything. But this 5th step, ongoing review and monitoring. Our team is excellent at being very proactive in scheduling review meetings. We are very responsive. In fact, we've got a fun commitment that if any client emails service@falconwealthadvisors.com and they don't hear back from us within 1 business day, that we will buy them lunch. And because that's how much we want to own our responsiveness to our clients. But again, we have to understand that the minute we create a financial plan, the minute you walk out the door, it's already changed, it's already different, it's already wrong. So the most important thing you can do as a client is that when our team reaches out to you to schedule your review meeting, you want to go ahead and get that scheduled, because if you don't, what happens is your financial plan grows more and more stale and moldy. And if you're not refreshing this plan, it's very difficult for us to give you good advice. And so we like to meet with our clients at least once a year, ideally twice a year, if not more, to review the plan, make the adjustments, pivot if we need to pivot, and make sure that we're giving ongoing advice, not just a one-time exercise. Corey, maybe you can go into a little bit more of the how we accomplish this.
Yes, you talked about the processes in place, but we will reach out to clients, to meet at least once a year, typically twice a year, like you highlighted, Jake, in it. But that part of it is important, being proactive and making sure that, we're driving that for our clients. I don't want someone to wait until they decide they have time to contact us, to schedule a meeting. We want to be proactive and out in front of clients. And I think clients want that too. So we have a process in place to make sure that those meetings happen. Clients will come to our office, we'll meet on Zoom, we'll schedule time to meet, and we'll go through the financial plan that we established in step one. And for some clients, it's 10 or 15 years ago, Jake. We're going back to the financial plan. We're talking about the goals and the inputs. We're talking about what's changed, what situation or circumstances are relevant in someone's life that may require us to adjust the plan some, and then we're off and running from there. But ultimately, I do think that this is really where the value is added, where the rubber really meets the road, frankly, because we've both seen it, Jake, over the years. If we've worked with someone, they have a financial plan, maybe their company does a voluntary buyout, or maybe their company, maybe it's an involuntary severance, whatever it may be. If someone is not starting this planning process then, and they already have a plan in place and say, Jake, here's how my life changed, here's where I'm at now, can we update the plan to see what that looks like? That can provide so much peace of mind, and it can really give someone the information that they need to know to make an informed decision.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good point. Absolutely. And that's, again, this is our whole process. And that's what, we've been doing it this way for a long time. It's been very effective for our clients, and we continue to do it. We continue to refine it and improve on it. Now, you hear us talking about a financial plan, but really, what is it? And so this is just a little snapshot of one of the reports that our planners go over with our clients. And it's probably the biggest impact because it's nice and visual pleasing. But basically, these bars that you see on this chart here, they're increasing in this particular plan over the next 20 or 30 years. Now, that's fine and dandy. So basically, this is telling this client that they're going to have more money as they get older, which is great. And we love to see plans like this. But it's all arguably more beneficial when a client sees that they're going to run out of money, Corey, because then they know, hey, what I'm doing today is not going to cut it for the next 20 or 30 years. So I'm going to have to reduce my spending or make some lifestyle changes so that I don't run out of money. And that is still Americans' top 3, top 5 fears, is running out of money. And so this is what this plan can really do for you. If anything, at the biggest, broadest, simplest level, if we could just simply plug in, this is what you have, this is what your rate of return is expected to be, this is what you're spending, what is that going to do for you? This at least will tell you that. And then we can determine if we need to go in a different direction. And we can coach you and guide you and make adjustments along the way. But that's really what a plan is. A plan is not a roadmap. It changes. Some clients in the past have said, my plan 4 years ago said this. I was like, well, your whole life has changed in the last 4 years. You spent more or less money. The market's gone up and down. So again, a plan is only as good as that information is today. It's a checkup, though. You want to continue to do these checkups every year to make sure that the trajectory is going in a direction that you prefer. Did I say it all?
What's that, Jake?
Did I say it all?
I think you said it all. Well, I actually just want to point one small thing out here, like on the visual that you have included here on this slide. This is showing a sample client that's highlighting if this person does Roth conversions. And I think that this just illustrates the point here. Because oftentimes our clients, we haven't built one financial plan with one scenario that we're planning to follow for the next 30 years because we know life's going to happen. But as those things change, we can evaluate what something like how Roth conversions can fit into the picture, what someone's estate plan needs to look like. Are we reviewing their tax situation and have a really good feel for how that fits into their financial plan? All of that's important. And all of that can only happen if we have regular communication meetings with our clients.
Yeah. Exactly right, Corey. Yeah. So again, this is one small example of, hey, this particular client looks like they're going to have 800,000 more by doing a Roth conversion, which is awesome and a big deal, right? So, and again, if they don't have an advisor that's acting as a fiduciary, crunching these numbers for them, they may never have done that. And again, that's almost $1 million more they could have either had for themselves or passed on to their heirs. So it's a big deal. Now, as far as our investment strategy, because that seems to be a pretty popular topic with our clients, Another item that makes us unique, Corey, is that we are absolutely against third-party products. We feel at Falcon Wealth Advisors, if we're the ones advising on our clients and investing the money, then we should advise our clients and invest the money. And so we have, in essence, now we haven't packaged this to basically retail people that aren't clients, but we basically created our own in-house product that comprises of stocks, bonds, and options for approved clients. And we don't feel using third-party money managers that have no idea about our clients and that charge hidden fees is what's best for our clients. And so we don't believe in that at all. And we do all of the research in-house. We use third-party research companies like Bloomberg or credit sites to help us to make good decisions. But we're not outsourcing that responsibility. We want to own that responsibility for our clients. And we want to make sure that it's transparent, it's at the lowest cost possible, and that we have control. Now, Corey, why don't you go over how we determine when to buy or sell from our pretty colored box chart here?
All right, so this is the periodic table of investments, as some engineering clients have called it, or the quilt chart. It's nice and pretty, usually everybody's favorite. But the way that you read this is that every one of these columns is a year. And really the point is from 2003 through the end of 2022, each one of the different colored boxes that you see represents a different style or a different category of investment around the world. And the idea is they're all in different colors here to show you that things change, right? Things cycle in and out of favor. So the whole idea of buy and hold, buy something, hang on to it, you're going to ride the wave up and down. So the approach that we're going to take and that we do take for clients is to determine ultimately what their investment allocation should be based upon their financial plan and their cash flow. We will then recommend a percentage of their portfolio allocated to each one of these different styles or sectors. And we will ultimately make sure that things are staying in bounds with where they need to be relative to their targets. So we'll rebalance. When the market does well, we'll take some of those gains. We're not going to get all the way out, but we'll take some of the money that we made, move it back over into bonds. And just conversely, if the stock market declines, we'll put more money to work, which is, Jake, buy low and sell high. Oftentimes seems like the opposite of what people's intuition tells them to do, which is a big part of the reason that clients hire us, because we do have this, it's process driven. It is mathematically based. Jake, you and I have both gone to the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business to study where they teach this, and we're implementing it for clients. But we're ultimately making decisions with our team. We're having those conversations with clients because when we really stop and think about it, all of the steps that we've highlighted in this process today, Jake, it just feels odd or strange to say, once we get all the way to this point, it's like, okay, now we're going to give the money to somebody else to invest.
Right.
Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, in my opinion.
Right. I agree. And I think clients are getting ripped off. And what are they paying for if they're paying an advisor a fee and another person a fee? It's like, man, but good. Thank you. Yeah, I love it. Math-based, process-driven, discipline, unemotional. That's what we're looking to do here. And we're looking to hit singles and doubles and stay in the game. We're not swinging for the fences here with our strategy because we don't want to risk striking out and losing more money than we would need to.
Singles and doubles won the Royals the World Series a few years ago.
That's right. Speed did that too.
That's what it does. That's right.
All right, good. As we wrap up here, again, we want to thank all of you for tuning in today. We will open up the floor for questions. So now would be a great time to ask a question if you have one. Also, a quick plug to Upticks. Corey and I have a lot of fun recording that. Comes out in our email newsletter every Tuesday. The podcast comes out a couple days before because we get it live before we email it out. But you can subscribe on YouTube, Apple iTunes, Spotify. I'm also out there on the various social media platforms. So is Corey. And again, we use eMoney software for planning. We use Holistiplan software for tax planning. And we use Pontera for 401k management. So again, those are all services that are available to our clients at Falcon Wealth Advisors. And then to wrap it up, Corey, here, like I said in the beginning, clients ultimately choose to work with us to enhance their financial literacy and explain exactly what their financial plan means to them. So hopefully everyone that tuned in found some education, learned something today. And again, please don't hesitate. If you'd like to set up a meeting with myself or Corey, simply email service@falconwealthadvisors.com. And our team is happy to share my schedule or Corey's schedule. And we can certainly take you through our 5-step Falcon Wealth Advisors signature planning process. Very good. Corey, any other parting comments as we wrap up today?
I appreciate the opportunity. And for everyone who joined us here today, take us up on the offer. That's why it's what we enjoy doing. It's what our team enjoys doing. And I know that just adds a lot of value when someone has more of a feeling for what their financial future looks like because they've taken the time to do some planning. And we're people that want to help our clients and we want to help other people. And I would just encourage people to take us up on the offer, to take you through our process. And obviously we'll stick around here for a moment or two. If anybody has any questions, we can answer.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're a current client and you're tuned in, thank you as always for your trust. And if you know anyone that can benefit from our offering, please don't hesitate to share contact information. Core and I are in this business to help people. We have built a team so that we have capacity to take on new clients. And that's really what we're here to do. So thank you again for joining. Corey, I don't see any hands, so I'm going to let everybody have their lunch a little early today. And thank you again as joining. And we hope all of you have a great week and go Chiefs.